10xing your focus, performance, and output is easier than you think. You only need the right system. Over the past 10 years, I have studied the science of elite productivity and performance and collected hundreds of protocols of elite performers in the special forces, in sports, in business, in the arts to craft the ultimate performance system that I've trained more than 300 entrepreneurs with. Now, if you get this system wrong, you will only 10x your stress, overwhelm, and burnout. So I'm going to show you exactly how to deploy it. And no, I'm not going to ask you to do any sort of dopamine fasting or install some random app or, follow techniques that are proven not to work like the Pomodoro technique. This protocol is guaranteed to skyrocket your ability to focus and get things done. And it will work for you no matter your business level. I even have clients who are in the 8-figure level with hundreds of employees below them, and they still use this protocol to get more done. So I guarantee it will work for you. If you're new to the channel, I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered Performance Institute for Founders. Everything hinges on your ability to believe that you can actually become 10 times more productive. Belief is absolutely fundamental. I'm going to show with you exactly what is the science behind me saying that you can indeed become 10 times more productive. The goal of this all is to unlock a state of consciousness called flow state, which is a non-ordinary state of consciousness in which you feel your best and you perform your best. This is what elite athletes typically tap into. They call it getting in the zone in order to perform at their best. But now we know the science has advanced enough for us to understand how to replicate that in our working life so we can really be most effective. And years ago, I built this protocol, the ring fencing protocol, that in essence aligns brain, mind, and task for superior results. And it all hinges on accessing flow states as often as possible. And I say that you'll become 10 times more productive because on average, and according to McKinsey, which is one of the most important management consulting firms, a flow state can make you up to 500% more productive. Not only that, but the protocol will over time make you allergic to distraction. So if you're 5 times more productive, you avoid distractions, you become insanely more consistent doing the hard things. Over time, your over output becomes 10 times better. But before I start with sharing the protocol, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and give it a like so your YouTube algorithm feed over time improves with videos like this. So the first step before we deploy the protocol is to master the morning. See, now there's a lot of conversation, a lot of buzz saying that you don't need a morning routine, and I wholeheartedly disagree. Because having a proven morning routine that allows you to stay grounded, that feeds you for the light ahead, and allows you to implement a few health and performance-oriented protocols that make you more effective is a winning decision. Every elite performer has some sort of pre-routine or morning routine that primes them for the day ahead. And you don't need to embrace the 5 a.m. club or the 4 a.m. club, 7 a.m. club, 9 a.m. club. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have a routine that allows you to de-stress yourself. The problem is that most people will pick their phones right after waking up, which leads to accumulating a lot of technology-related stress in their brain, which builds up attention residue and cognitive load that makes them more inefficient. So you cannot deploy the ring fencing protocol if you have already lost your ability to focus in the first few hours of the day. So step number 1 is having a solid routine. I personally go to the gym, I meditate, and I follow a subconscious programming protocol that I listen to every single morning. Something very simple, just about an hour is a total routine, and I'm already primed for the day. Then, once you've primed yourself for having an elite day, you are ready to deploy the protocol. It all starts by priming your brain for deep work and focus. See, most people cannot focus for long enough to get the results they want, and that is mostly because their brain is incapable of accessing deep states of focus and eventually flow. So let's start by understanding how does the brain actually work? How do we manufacture deep stages of focus? And the first step is to realize that there's 3 chemicals that affect your ability to focus, which is noradrenaline, epinephrine, and dopamine. Those 3 need to be present in order for you to sustain focus. The problem is that The brain cannot secrete those substances, those neuromodulators, indefinitely. It goes through ebbs and flows. And after having secreted enough of those neurochemicals, it needs to rest and recharge in order to get ready for the next focus session. Which leads me to the first insight of this video, which is the fact that you need to follow your own natural biorhythms in order to be able to focus effectively. Since the 1950s, we know, since the work of Nathaniel Clayton, that our energy basically follows a pattern. We have ebbs and flows throughout the day. And roughly every 90 minutes, our energy resets. In other words, we can only sustain a high state of activation of focus for 90 minutes. And then we absolutely need to rest. The brain needs to encode the information it learned and replenish those neurochemicals before they can secrete them again. So if you just show up without a plan, trying to force yourself to work indefinitely, over time, you're going to accumulate unnecessary stress that is going to burn you out. The best approach is to, as I said, segment your days in 90 minutes of work sessions and then 30 minutes of deep rest. Having what I call active recovery protocols. These protocols will create unstructured time that allow the brain to mentally wander and recharge itself. For better results, also dial in your nutrition and your hydration. So your nutrition, what I recommend as a performance coach, is that you consume high protein meals with high satiety. So you don't need to eat too much, so you don't hit an afternoon slump, and you can consistently have a good level of energy. On the hydration side, always aim to drink more than 3 liters per day. A 4% drop in hydration levels can lead to a 25% drop in productivity, which is wild. So the first step is to understand that the brain goes through cycles. It cannot focus indefinitely. You need to help your brain give your ability to focus for longer by following these ebbs and flows. Priming your brain for early productivity is not enough. You also need to prime your mind. There's 2 specific strategies that the ring fence protocol leverages in order to align your mind with your brain. The first one is what I call a pre-commitment device. In essence, is a commitment that you make to yourself towards a specific outcome. In this specific case, what we do is we select one task or group of tasks for every 90 minutes, and we use a timer to work against it. So when we start a work session, we put a timer on our computer, very simple, just Google timer on Google, and then you just work with ferocity until you finish the task or the timer goes off, whatever happens first. This pre-commitment device, this commitment that you have to not get distracted, to don't check your phone, to don't surf YouTube real quick, or do any of those things that create cognitive load in your brain, will over time make you accomplish huge volumes of work in a very short amount of time. But if you really want to take this up a notch, this is when you deploy flow triggers in order to consistently tap into flow state. See, flow triggers are neuropsychological triggers in your brain that trick it to secrete other neurochemicals to the mix, like anandamide, that help it shift and create that altered state of consciousness. And the most powerful strategy is to create your own trigger, is to understand what is the thing that puts you into flow outside of work, and then create a pairing conditioning. In other words, use the same music, let's say, or the same order, or the same objects that you would typically use when accessing flow states in a different realm during your work. Once you pair that, you're able to tap into the power of flow state at will. For instance, what I do to tap into flow states every single day, what is my condition trigger, is that I use a industry level noise canceling headphones. Every time I put on this, I know it's going to be a couple minutes until I'm really focused on the task and nothing can distract me, right? But all the clients use music. It doesn't matter what it is that you use. What matters is that you understand that starting a ring fencing session, putting the timer and starting working against it while leveraging a personal flow trigger is guaranteed to help you get in flow within a few minutes. So this is the ring fencing protocol. First of all, we prime ourselves in the morning, then we understand how the brain works, and we align it with how the mind can be conditioned in order to access elite levels of focus and flow. And this will help you have consistent elite days full of productivity, discipline, and results. But over time, unless you have one more system to keep yourself accountable, you will eventually quit, because this is taxing for both the brain and the mind. So how can you make this fun? Well, by leveraging gamification. Gamification is the usage of game-like elements like rewards, like challenges, like points in order to hook your brain. Using gamification elements is very common in business. In fact, some of the apps that have you hooked the most use gamification elements. So what we do, and more specific, and I built the system years ago, and we give it to our clients called the dashboard, in which we basically assign one leverage level to every ring fence session, right? So if it's something that is very important for the business, I will assign it a $10,000 an hour leverage kind of sign. If it's absolutely useless, I wasted my time, that is a 0. And that is the first kind of element of this gamification. And then the next element is how much focus did I deploy? How focused was I during that ring fence session? And the goal is to have every single ring fence session working on something that is wildly important in a flow state. That will be a 10 out of 10 score. If I waste my time totally and had 0 focus and got distracted, that is a 0. And my goal is to always beat the previous day score. And we have a tool for that. And this is how you consistently can show up at a much higher level than anyone else. This is how you outperform your competition, by getting more done and having more fun every single day. It's not magic, it's just the power of performance. If you want to see how do I sustain high performance every day, what are other protocols that are involved in making me a highly disciplined high performance beast, and also our clients, check this video here. It's going to give you everything you need to know to consistently show up at your best. See you in the next video.